A very good morning to you. Welcome to the West Ham Voice on Thursday morning. I hope you're all doing well. Um, I've started doing these social media news and gossip shows. I started doing them on Wednesday. And the idea of the show is really to sort of pick out maybe two or three, maybe even four stories that's currently on social media about West Ham. You know, stories that may be of interest to you, stories that either have some relevance of truth in them, and some have got no relevance of truth. But I bring them to you anyway to sort of give you an update on what's out there. And I've picked out two stories today that are hitting the West Ham headlines, and they both focus on contract offers being made to players. So they've kind of got a bit more truth in them than some of the other stories that are knocking around. Um, and the two contract offers, one is an offer to bring Carl Walker-Peters to West Ham United this summer, and the other offer is to keep George Earthy at Bristol City for another season, probably on loan. Now, if you're new to the West Ham Voice, it's the first time you're watching the channel, please do consider becoming a subscriber of the channel. It costs nothing to subscribe, and all the content is free. And if you've enjoyed the show at the end of this show, whether you're a subscriber or not, please do make sure you hit the like button. So let's focus first of all on the Carl Walker-Peters story. Now, it was much publicised that West Ham were chasing the versatile defender in last summer's transfer window. However, a deal wasn't realised, with apparently Southampton and West Ham unable to agree a fee for the player. As we all know, West Ham United then moved on to sign Aaron Wan-Bissaka for a bargain fee of £15 million. Now, it was Southampton's one and only chance to get a fee for the player, given that he was entering the final season of his contract. With Southampton now confirmed as being relegated back to the Championship, there's not much of a chance that they're going to now be able to convince Walker-Peters to sign a new deal. In fact, the player himself has indicated quite clearly that he will be leaving the club at the end of the season. So in the summer, they're going to see him leave for nothing. Now, Walker-Peters turns 28 next week. And with talk of Graham Potter and Carl McCauley wishing to bring the average age of the squad down, he may not necessarily fit in that mould. However, he is a very experienced defender who's able to play in a number of positions, which would prove quite invaluable for Potter's squad rebuild for the summer. Now, we all know Carl Walker-Peters' primary role is right back. That's where he usually plays. But the player is also adept at playing at left back, as well as being able to play further upfield on either side, left or the right side of midfield. And he can also play in the centre of midfield as well. Now, this season on the right side of the pitch, Jared Bowen and Wan-Bissaka have formed a pretty decent understanding, a pretty solid relationship on the pitch. In fact, to be quite honest with you, whoever has played on the right side this season has benefited from an excellent Wan-Bissaka behind him. Now, it's not necessarily been the same on the left side. Of course, we started with Emerson on the left side in defence, and he was replaced by Ollie Skiles. But at times, Skiles has looked just a little bit short of experience to claim that position his own. Well, not yet anyway. And then, of course, on the left side of midfield in attack, we've had a mixture of players there. Kudus has played there, Paqueta has played there, and one or two others. So it hasn't been so solid on the left side. And this is where Walker-Peters could prove to be quite invaluable. If he's played on the left side with Wan-Bissaka on the right, he's got similar attributes to Wan-Bissaka, which any attacking player on the left, and which will probably be Somerville when he returns from injury, will greatly benefit from. Now, that's not to say that Skiles will be discarded, but Walker-Peters certainly brings a lot of experience with him in much the same way as Wan-Bissaka does. But what does that mean for Emerson? Now, I'm not sure at this stage whether Emerson will be part of Potter's plans for next season. Emerson isn't really that much older than Walker Peters. He's only 30 and still got a year left on his contract with an option to extend for a further year. But it's more likely that Walker Peters coming to West Ham would be a replacement for the outgoing Vladimir Sufal, who will turn 33 when the new season starts. So Walker Peters' arrival doesn't necessarily mean Emerson leaving. Now, whichever side of the pitch Walker Peters plays on is asked to play in, um, he indeed would be a great addition to the West Ham United squad. He started his footballing career at Spurs, the academy, before moving to Southampton on loan in January 2020. Now, at the end of that half season loan spell, it was made permanent with Pierre Emile Holberg having gone the other way. It's suggested that Spurs are actually considering making an offer to bring the player back to the club, given that he's a free agent in the summer. But despite Spurs having apparently spoken to the player's agent, it is suggested that it's West Ham who have made the first move by offering a contract to the player. Now, with ties to Spurs from the past, it could be that Walker Peters might fancy returning there, as he may see it as a bit of unfinished business. But what is likely to be far more important for the player is that wherever he decides to play, he won't be relishing going to a club just to be a backup and sitting on the bench. Um, if it is established that he doesn't stand much chance of getting into the team over Wan-Bissaka, over Skulls, even over Emerson, he may deem West Ham United to be a risky move for him. I guess we're going to have to wait and see what the outcome is. But the story is that he has been offered a contract to join West Ham in the summer. Let's move on to the other player who is looking likely to be offered a new contract as well. And as I've mentioned, that's George Earthy. Now, from my understanding, Bristol City want to keep the young attacking midfielder for another season. And in fact, having made such an impact at the club, they would love to have him there permanently. Now, permanently could depend on whether Bristol City actually get promoted to the Premier League. As we know, they're sitting sixth in the Championship at the moment, looking at possibly getting into the playoffs. And if they do succeed, then they're going to want to keep the player on a permanent basis. He's very highly thought of there, not only by the manager and the coaches, by the fans as well. Now, whilst West Ham have not responded to Bristol City's offer just yet, there is talk that that we might be interested in agreeing for the player to stay at Bristol City for another season. But I think, to be quite honest with you, whilst another season on loan will greatly help his development, I would imagine that just like Freddie Potts coming back to West Ham at the end of this season, Graham Potter will want to assess Earthy's ability in pre-season before making any decisions on the player's future. So I think Freddie Potts and Earthy will come back to West Ham United at the end of their loan spells. They will be assessed by Potter, and then if it's deemed that Earthy is good enough, and given that we do need to bring in a number of new players to replace outgoing players, as well as wanting to bring the average age of the squad down without spending a fortune to do so, then 20-year-old Potts and 20-year-old Earthy could be two fantastic additions to West Ham United's squad next season. Now, Earthy has been with West Ham since the age of 6, and he will have benefited greatly from the loan spell at the Championship club. So let's see what happens there. I think I don't think any decisions will be made on George Earthy either staying at Bristol City or not until Potter has had an opportunity to assess him. Look, some other quick news. Maxwell Cornet is due to return to training with Genoa after missing the last 5 games with a muscle strain. And on the flip side, Naifer Gerd has suffered an injury to his knee in the Copa del Rey, which was against Real Madrid at the start of April. And he's likely to miss his 3rd league game in a row this coming weekend. Now, the injury is thought to be on the patella tendon in his right knee. And it's not thought to be too serious, but it will take up to about 3 weeks to recover. If that's the case, then a GERD should be back in training next week. Now, why are these two injuries worth noting and why are they important to West Ham? Well, the club are likely to be looking at selling both players in this summer's transfer window. And if there are any ongoing injury issues to either player, then selling them would obviously prove to be difficult. So, with the fact that Cornet is likely to be returning anytime soon, as well as a GERD returning after maybe another week or so, then that's quite a positive for West Ham when it comes to the summer transfer window. Now, I could give you more roundup news, like, for example, how the ITKs are suggesting that Ipswich striker Liam Delap is highly admired at the club and that we have a desire to sign him. Yep, along with 17 or 18 other Premier League clubs. So I won't bother to give you that story. So that's the roundup for now. That we're looking at bringing Carl McCauley to West Ham United. There's a suggestion that we've already made an offer to him, a contract offer for him to come, and that Bristol City are looking at the possibility of keeping George Earthy at Bristol City next season. If you've enjoyed the show, like I said, please do hit the like button and please do consider becoming a subscriber of the channel. And I'll bring you some updated news again, probably on Friday. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I'll see you all soon.